Ask Reddit on Reddit Rundown. Parents of Reddit, what did you find in your kid's room that you put back and never discussed with them? My dad found my porn stash. He took all the regular porn mags away, but left all my hentai stuff there. I don't know what to make of that. Just the opposite. I found a lady of the night in my dad's room when my mom was away. Strangest morning ever. Getting ready for softball and couldn't find any of my makeup, not even my deodorant, it was all missing. Go in my parents' room to borrow my mom's deodorant, probably gross, but I was a stinky teenager and had softball, and there she was. In my shock, said sorry for busting in and got what I needed, then bailed. My dad drove me to softball like nothing was amiss. I spent that whole game fighting back tears. A week goes by and he never says anything. I confide in adults around me and everyone bails on me and says I should tell my mom. I wind up slipping a note in his wallet saying she took my stuff. Dad slips me a 20 and tells me sorry. Took me telling one cousin to spill the beans to my mom. We had to move our kid out of a bad living situation. She wasn't in any condition to help. So, wife and I go in and just start grabbing her stuff. We come across her adult baby fetish gear. Like 2 duffel bags of it, giant onesies, binkies, diapers, etc. Wife looked at me, I looked at her, we shut each bag and have never spoken of it again. Reverse order, I was in my mom's room looking for something. She had quite a bit of clutter piled on top of her dresser, so I start examining the contents to see if it's there. After a few seconds I realize there's a beaded butt plug just sitting right out in the open. I immediately left her room and decided to just ask her if she'd seen what I was looking for. Not a parent, but once I had a big sleepover with like 10 friends and one friend was really good at drawing terrifyingly realistic penises, like she really had the art of penis drawing down. So, while everyone slept, she covered my room in penis drawings and hid them in places. So in the afternoon the next day my mom was helping put away the sleeping bags, and out of one sleeping bag came out all the penis drawings that I had found in my room and stashed in the sleeping bag. I was planning on ambushing the friend with them at school. My mom said nothing, made sure the bag was empty and then just rolled it up, not saying anything, not even looking at them. I didn't say anything either. The memory haunts me. Not a parent, but my dad moved to a new apartment after I shipped to boot camp. When I got back home on boot leave, he was showing me around his new apartment and he just casually mentioned, "Your pocket pussy is in that drawer by the way." When I was 10, my brother was 12, we were staying the weekend at our grandpa's house way out in the country. I found a cock ring in the bathroom and being 10 I obviously had no clue what it was, so I showed it to my brother. He told me what it was and we ran outside in the middle of the night and chucked it into the woods because we panicked. Thankfully Grandpa never asked about his missing cock ring. My son is a very talented artist. While cleaning his room, we found a drawing that he'd done as sort of a 3-part comic strip. First panel, there was a pretty girl wearing bib overalls, the kind with the straps over the shoulder. Second panel, one of the strap buttons popped loose and the strap was flying back over her shoulder as the overalls started to fold down. Third panel, the girl, breast exposed, had a perfect look of surprised embarrassment on her face. The reason we didn't say anything was because he was a pretty shy 11-year-old and we didn't want him to stop drawing by embarrassing him. I regret not taking a picture of it, though, because it was really impressive artwork for a kid. My mom was staring perplexed by my little brother's homemade weed pipe that she had found in his sock drawer, just as I was walking by. Doing a double take, I stopped and she asked me, "What do you think this is?" Me, "A kazoo, that's his kazoo." Mom, "Oh, okay." I then had a little chat with my 14-year-old brother about drugs, and told him to hide his kazoo a little better. Opposite end of the siblings watching out for the other, I was 22, my brother was 11. My mom had just vaguely discovered the joys of spying by checking the history on Netscape or Firefox or whatever we had at the time. She came to me concerned about my brother, saying he's going to a lot of hot erotic pages, and she doesn't know how to talk to him about it, whether or not she should. Hey, good for him. I lived in Germany when I was his age, and erotic films would be common on afternoon TV, so it was never very taboo for me, but my mom never realized. Still, not a conversation I wanted to have with my brother, so I asked my mom what the site he was spending so much time on and she said www.hotmail.com. Was looking for my vibrator that mysteriously disappeared from my drawer. Looked in the teenager's room, not there. Went to my 5-year-old's room and there it was sitting on top of his dresser, in all its glory. I was too scared to ask anyone how my lightsaber got there, so just took it back and hid it in my room. When my late husband was 21, and we'd been dating for a year, he had an MRI for something concerning, and then went back to work, leaving his worried about his MRI mom from up north, who was just there for his medical stuff, in his apartment alone with nothing to do. So, she cleaned. A lot. When he came home, his normally messy room was spotless. His bed was freshly made with the Bible he'd gotten at his church confirmation atop the pillow, and on top of that, a condom wrapper that must have made its way under the bed in our haste. In his closet, his once hidden Playboy cheerleaders VHS tape was now quite prominently displayed on a shelf. She never said a word to him about anything. She shot dagger eyes at me next time she saw me though. I was around 14 and ordered a book online about sex, back when they just sent you anything if you promised you were over 18 and would pay for it later. 1996 if I recall correctly, this was no regular book, it was nearly 500 pages, a leather-bound holy grail of sex. My father or mother found it one day under my bed and I thought I would be in so much trouble, but they never said anything. A few weeks later, I go looking for it and under their bed, I find my book, a printed out copy of the Anarchist Cookbook, and a VHS of heavy metal. I took it all and nothing has even been said about it to this day. One of them found the VHS, and I am pretty sure it was my mom, thinking it was mine, due to the looks of disappointment shortly thereafter I was getting. Edit, I believe the book was called Sex, A Man's Guide. However, the edition I had must have been special made because it had a leather cover with diamonds on it instead of the picture I saw from the book cover while doing research. It was very discreet. I know it was $80 to $90 with shipping because we would get a bill periodically for years to come. It was addressed to a Dr. D. Last name. I thought adding doctor would make me seem more grown up. The book was very well written and very helpful according to early lovers. It must have been my father's VHS tape and I am unsure if my dad was hiding it from me or my mother. My father must have printed off the Anarchist Cookbook that he found online. I thought it was funny because it was hundreds of pages and stapled together like a binding. The cover was the Hacker's Manifesto. In the 90s he was into pirating video games and modding them. Doom, Wolfenstein, Duke Nukem, etc. My friends were much more interested in this than the sex book. When I was 9-ish my mom got me a light-up handheld back massager. I was obsessed with it, it looked like something space age and did wonders on my neck and back. My older teenage sister stole it from my room one day and I noticed it on her nightstand. She wouldn't give it back and I told my mom she stole it, but mom just said just let her have it. 20 years later and I finally understand. I'm the kid, but once my girlfriend accidentally left her undies under my bed. Every so often when I'm away for an amount of time my mom will clean up my room and do some washing. When I got back one time, I found her undies washed with mine and left for me to put away in my room. She's never mentioned it to me. I was laying peel and stick tiles in our bathroom, and found a couple of mild nudie mags hidden under the big package of toilet paper. At about that time, youngest son came home and was a bit panicked, but never said anything at the time. I made sure to place the magazines back when I was done tiling. I showed them to my wife, and joked that I should have substituted granny gang bangs or similar. I still regret not doing it. My best friend and I would wait until my parents left to turn the house upside down looking for change to go to McDonald's. We called ourselves the Dollar Menu Millionaires. Well, you can guess that we went into my parents' drawers and jewelry boxes and to our horror, discovered very explicit spread eagle Polaroids my dad must have took of my stepmom. I can still see them now. We no longer went in their room for change. Didn't say a word. Could never look at her the same. My dad slept in my bedroom while I was at work, and I just saw the vibrator I left under my pillow on the bookshelf by the bed yesterday. I'm the child in this story. I was about 10 or 11 and feeling really guilty for being a horrible person, silly kid stuff. I don't remember exactly what, maybe it was as simple as not saying I love you enough. I felt I had to atone somehow, so I started writing I love you dad, love you mom, love you sister 1, love you sister 2 and did it over and over almost like the lines you'd get as punishment in school. I did a full page and then completely forgot about them. My room was very messy and my parents didn't enforce me to clean it, silly of them. In my defense, I most likely have undiagnosed ADHD, but that's beside the point. What is the point is that it may have been months later or even years later, but I found that piece of paper again and I was cringing for having written it. But at the bottom in my dad's handwriting was one final line. "We love you too." In high school my mom decided to clean my room as a nice gesture. She found my vibrator under my pillow. I got a text, "Guess you're too old for me to surprise with cleaning your room." My grandma found a dildo I didn't like, brought it upstairs to show my mom and laugh, and then suggested she re-gift it to me in front of my whole family on Christmas morning. My grandma is savage AF and I'm lucky to have a sliver of her humor. My dad is a dog trainer. He doesn't anymore, but from the 80s to 2010, he trained K9s and drug dogs for different police departments. He used to do raids on my room. Every so often I would come home from school and my stash of weed or pipes would be on my bed with a note that says, "Find a better spot, I need more of a challenge." I'm not the parent, but I know someone that went into their son's, 17, room, and stumbled across a ball gag, handcuffs, spiked collar with leash, and riding crop. He did have a GF at the time. The parent never mentioned it to either of them. Not a parent, but I'm pretty sure my dad found my first bong and never mentioned it. One day it was just missing and I was so scared that I left it in an obvious spot after smoking and I'd get in trouble. It's been like 10 years since that and I'm still to this day curious what happened. Lol. Not a parent, but I'm pretty sure my dad found my first bong and never mentioned it. One day it was just missing and I was so scared that I left it in an obvious spot after smoking and I'd get in trouble. It's been like 10 years since that and I'm still to this day curious what happened. Lol 25. One day I decided to tackle the disaster that was my 9-year-old son's bedroom. It was impressive, how much crap he had on his floor, and as a one-time 9-year-old boy myself I had to give him props. Then I found, tucked away in his bookshelf, a Ziploc bag filled with plastic sporks, an entire school year's worth from the cafeteria. There were hundreds of them, all packed into this gallon-sized bag. I stared at them for a long time, put them back where I found them and decided he should clean his own room more often. I must confess, I talked to him a couple weeks later, after finding one in his coat pocket. I told him it probably wasn't sanitary to have laying around. I let my gaze linger on him for an extra second and his expression changed. "Well, I guess I need a new hobby," he said. I bought him a rock collection starter kit the next day. New parent. Haven't had the opportunity to bust my 16-month-old with anything particularly scandalous yet. My dad used to find the weed that I'd hide in the old Nintendo cartridge drive and dip into it, albeit in modest portions. This was throughout high school. We both knew but had an unspoken agreement not to acknowledge the obvious. Fast forward to college, and I'm back visiting my parents nearly every other week and I'm hiding weed in his work boots, and staying mum as grams disappear. Least I could do given that he was paying my tuition. One fateful weekend visit right before Christmas and I come back with a bag of shroom-infused chocolates that I had picked up as party favors. I've not since seen a production this well done. Each chocolate was expertly molded. The clear giveaway was the plastic baggie. I stash it away in the most random nook of the garage that I can find. No way anyone will ever check there. It's Christmas Eve and I'm getting ready to head out to a friend's party, and I'm making a beeline for my stash spot. My dad walks in right before I reach the destination and says, "Ate your cookies?" "Cookies? Your chocolates." "Ate your chocolates." "Dad, those are not safe." I'm imaging the worst case bad trip school scare movie playing out in my mind. "What's not safe?" "Dad, those are magic mushrooms." I pull out the half-eaten bag. "You ate 1/4 ounce?" He becomes quickly enraged. "I've been eating goddamn mushrooms before you were a twinkle in my eye and I'll be just fine." I invite him to come to the party with me. He insists on staying home and watching South Park. I reluctantly write down my cell phone number and place it in his shirt pocket and tell him to call me if he needs me. Many hours later, I come home, and sure as shit he's still watching South Park, and enjoying what I'm sure was one of many beers. What a fucking trooper. I love you, Dad. I still hope to grow up to be half the man you are. Not a parent, but I was roommates with my older brother, Sometimes when he would bring a girl to the apartment, he would ask me to clean up a bit his room. So, this one day he asks and I go in, I just do the bed and sweep really quick, so I'm sweeping and under the bed I found a used condom. I just pushed the condom back under the bed, with the broom and left the room. Needless to say, next time he asked I'd just do the bed trying not to touch anything. I was living at home at 19. My mom was in my room looking for something, what she found was my fleshlight and a bottle of lube. She did bring it up. I came home from work and she said, "Do you want to know what I found in your bedside table today?" In a moment of genius, very rare for me, I said, "A reason to respect my privacy?" That was the end of it. She also finally started to knock before walking into my room, so that was a nice bonus. If you like the video, give a thumbs up and subscribe. And check out other videos on my channel. Thank you and have an awesome day.